Hey, Christian?
Asian Queen in New Orleans.
Roger. Hey,
Man,
who's got the
see
better
you,
looking
man.
shirt?
You're looking good. I'm happy. See your face.
Thank you.
today.
Okay,
Hi,
Good
John.
now.
Hey, I think our
Can you
circle
see
went
me?
back, Johnny.
You all.
Yes.
okay.
And I only have one eye, but I see you all.
Okay, here
That's
comes
good.
Herbert Roselle.
Oh, God, I see old Swang. Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Herb Roselle.
Herb Roselle. Oh, man.
Oh, wow,
Herb
no.
Roselle,
This is
turn on your
crazy.
camera.
Oh, Lord. We got your feet.
Okay. Herb,
Is that the
there's
agony
Herb.
of the feet?
Herb, how you doing?
Okay.
There he is.
Okay, there's Herb. There's
There I am. Wait,
That was Peter.
but I only have me.
Eyes for you. You only
Go
have
to the
eyes.
top right of your screen, and there'll be a. It looks like a
Okay.
speaker view or something. Touch that, and you should get everybody.
Stop video.
Hi, Tim.
No. Gallery view.
Gallery view. Okay.
Gallery.
Gallery.
Maybe on the left, top left.
Aha. Boy, this says a lot about higher education. I was chairman of the department. Holy shit. I was chairman of the damn department.
Hey, John Murata, how'd your procedure turn out?
Well, it was a little bit worse than I thought because I went to the doctor yesterday, have a checkup, and she says everything's healing okay. And I said, well, why is it that I'm walking around and I still feel like someone kicked me in the nuts? She goes, well, when we opened you up, we thought it was just going to be a little 4-inch hole that we had to sew up, but it actually extended all the way down to your testicle.
Oh,
We had to scrape it out.
Excuse me, down to the what?
I didn't want to hear that. I said, stop. Next time, don't say that or you get sued for malpractice. Never talk about a man's privates like that. And it's a woman doctor. I said, it's bad enough to let you see my privates. Don't talk about them. So I said to her, what can I do? I said, isn't there some kind of pants I could wear to support me for a while? She says, nah, don't bother that. She says, get a pair of socks, roll them up, and put them in your underwear. I said, I've been doing that all my life. It doesn't. medical people, I'll never understand them.
well, John, we missed you last week. We were thinking about you.
I saw someone, Tom sent me someone sent me
Yeah, I did.
He played.
and it really, I enjoy it. Believe me, I enjoyed it. My son enjoys it. He doesn't know anything about you guys. He's only 30 years old. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know what a banjo is.
Neither do I. Don't worry about it.
Hey, where are the young people?
We're here.
I'm
Not
looking
here.
at a screen. Nice try.
There's Dottie.
Nice try. I live in independent living where the average age is 112. I'm considered young and healthy because I can breathe.
The people I work live in a condominium, and as soon as my wife died, the HOA come up and they said, we just wanted to warn you, you're now considered a dangerous breed. I said, what do you mean? They said, you can see, you have keys to a car, and you have money. Everyone's going to be after you. And sure enough, people started bringing me cake and coffee and stuff. And I'd never seen these women before.
It's the mustache, John.
My son is saying to me, what's going on? I said, I don't know. He said, well, ask him to make, he's giving me orders to give him to make things because they're coming in and they're saying, anything you want, Mike, you just tell your father, he'll come and tell me. I said, Michael, you want it? You go tell her.
Now, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Nah.
Enjoy it. When my first wife died,
Hey, Chris.
I said, this is it. I'm finished. I'm finished. And all of a sudden, I realized, bring on the women. Because if I don't meet a woman, I'm done.
Let me
And
ask
for a
you something.
year, John, they were showing up. Some I wasn't even sure I knew. And it was the worst, absolute worst. I didn't think I could have a date as bad as I did. And then I met Lynn, and that was, son of a bitch, 40 years ago. And I knew her for 2 weeks before I asked her to marry me.
You
Why'd
were
you wait
about-
so long?
so
2
that was
weeks.
when you were 38 at the time, right?
No, I was, hold it.
They
Yeah.
call him Jeff Loverboy.
Yes, I was
Loverboy.
39. I was 39, and I flew to New York to see my mother, who at that time I think was 112. Yeah, Pearl. And I said, Mom, I don't understand this, but I met this girl 3 weeks ago, and I think I'm going to ask her to marry me. And my mother looked at me and said, what took you so long? Quick, when you got breath, ask her.
But you were 38 then when you did that, and the excitement.
39.
39. I'm 77. There is no excitement. What
Yep.
do I? A girl is just a woman without pants. That's all.
John, you'd be surprised. We've got guys here. Are you ready? 100 years old. 100. And he's walking around better than me. You never know. I mean, if you're talking, excuse me, Donnie. Excuse me.
Donnie.
My dick died 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It just died. It died. No, I had a very nice.
Did you have a service card?
Yes, I was going to say I had a very nice viewing. There was nice food. It was nice. And I said, I asked my doctor, I said, what do I do now? He said, does the word depends mean anything to you? Because that's all it's good. No,
I
he
got.
tried to give me. He tried
Listen.
to give me. I'm sorry, ladies, but this is, when you
Put a
get to
sock in
our
it.
age,
It's
that's
the
all you
same
talk
thing.
about.
Put a sock in it. It's the same thing. Put a sock in your thing.
No. You put a sock. I'll
got
put in a Hebrew national salami. This all I know is that we have people here
Bonnie.
dating. We have people
Down
here
here, it's gonna be
dating
lucky dog.
who are older than dirt. They're older than dirt. They're holding hands. What the hell do I know what they're doing?
That way they don't fall over. That's why I hold it.
No, because we all
Oh,
use
God.
walkers. Hey, you don't think I walk without some help? Barry, you had a little stroke?
I did.
Okay. After my stroke, they kept me in the hospital 6 weeks, where I met every nurse who got a degree from Dachau, Auschwitz, or Belsen. They were the physical therapists. Oh, you can do this. You can do this. I said, if I could do it, asshole, I'd be walking out. I couldn't believe it. And now look at me. I'm wonderful.
Oh, mercy.
No, it's okay.
Mustache, man. Can't you?
Listen, Barry, my cardiologist, Dr. Suhas Shelgakar is what he sounded like. Oh, you're not to worry. You're very good. The heart is beating well. So you only have one lung left. The guy who did the surgery managed to destroy my phrenic nerve. I told him not to operate with a spoon. My chest goes up and down, but one lung doesn't open up. So Dr. Shelkagar says, not to worry. I have many patients who lived years and years with a one lung. I said, what about without a dick? And he looked at me, had a good sense of humor. He said, well, I'm going to give you a little blue pill. I said, no, no, no. I understand that it's dangerous for people like me to take blue pill. He said, no, it's one Viagra. It's free. I'll take it. I'll take it. So I took it, and you know what happened? I got the worst headache I had in my life. That's all that happened. I got a terrific headache.
You know what it does? It opens, it's like the nitroglycerin pill. It opens up your blood vessels, and it opens up the blood vessels in your brain, and your brain hasn't been using them in a long time. And all of a sudden, it just, blood rushes to your head. I'm telling you, because every once in a while, I have to take a nitroglycerin pill. And boy, the first pill I take is okay. The second pill is the rush, and I get a headache, man.
Isn't this exciting, guys? Isn't this exciting?
Well, I'll tell you what.
No.
One of you guys asked me last week or the week before, you asked me, you were talking about what was the worst gig you ever had been on with Hairy Lip. And, you know, I thought about that. And then I realized there was that one time where we nearly burnt down the venue, were almost arrested, and we were thrown out, and we started a fire. And I thought, well, who was on that? And it was Benu was on that, and John, the banjo player, who he could put anyone to sleep because he loved to play his little solos. When we were in the club and the crowd was going crazy, and all of a sudden he felt like he had to play a solo. He played the solo, and then all of a sudden everyone would go to sleep. So anyway,
It's the Zoom.
so we go to the place is up in Canada.
There's Ara.
Just passed the law that you gotta speak French. You can't speak English. So we get there, we're in the car, we're driving there, and meanwhile, we're trying to get directions. And we stop a cop, he won't speak English. And I know we stop teenagers, they won't speak English. And so we finally, anyway, we get to the...
Don't worry, that was my wife.
We get to the armory, all right? There's 2,000 men and women, the regiment are there. We had been there a year before, and they loved us. It was a huge place. So what we did, I wanted to make a show, and I didn't want John to screw this up. I had 2 girls who had all this stuff really good. So I said, I bought a carbon light, one of those lights, the spotlight that goes from pin to pin light. So I got that. I said, what we're going to do is we're going to have this is not going to be like the club. This is going to be a real show. We're going to do everything right. This way I can light you. Everything is going to look real good. It'll go fast. Everything will be happy. And John says, I don't need that. I said, John, let's just do a little rehearsal. I said, let's start with, where's the girl going to stand so I know where to put the pin spot on? How to do. I said, you know, and well, we go for a whole day arguing, and he just won't do it. So I figure I'm going to have to wing this. So we get to the place, they bring us in, and they liked us so much the year before, they built a whole new dressing room for us up there. Beautiful spotlights, everything there for us. So we go out, everyone goes out. I got this thing I've been lugging around. And I get up there and I got the light on and I'm ready to go on the spot. And we said the song was going to be on the blue. So I'm ready to put a spot on her face and slowly pull back. And he goes into some song. So now what do I do? And the next hour, all I do is try to, and then I finally gave up. I just widened it all out and let it go. And that's when I smelled the smoke. So I'm looking around, I'm thinking maybe this thing is on fire. That's not on fire. And I look behind me is the door to the dressing room. And I said, oh. I go in, I open the door. Someone had thrown a pair of corduroy pants over the back where the lights, where their dressing lights were, and it put it on fire. So here I am in this new place, freshly painted, no nothing. I knock that down, I get that down, knock it out. After it's over, Ron Gall comes up and he's demanding $60 from me because he just bought those pants. I said, you shouldn't have put them on the lights. All right, and John, I'm never going to work with you again. And he said, you're a pain in the I said,
This dispute between the CDC and
don't want us back again. This was a good deal.
CDC said fine, and
I got back home and I said to Joel, I don't want him anymore. Joel brought him up.
Is it only me? I can't hear you.
I think somebody has.
It's only you, Jeff.
Yeah, you're better off.
Joe says, I want you to take him out because I brought him up just to be on the
Ah,
show. He's not
I
good
had
for
to turn the
show.
sound on.
So he says, I said, I just don't want him. I said, I want you to fire him. He says, you fire him. He says, John, there's one thing you got to understand. There's so few things you get, so little satisfaction you get in life. Is when you have a chance to get satisfaction, fire, you do it. So I said, you're not going to give me any shit later. You're going to say it's okay. I said, go ahead. So I call him into the office. I said to him, John, I told you all the stuff. We needed to do this. We spent all the money. And all we wanted to do was get the beginning of a show. And you had to go play your games. That's why we got kicked out of the Joe the bartender's room, because he'd come down, Jackie Gleason come down after his show, and there you would be playing, and all the people would leave. So I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, you're fired. And he didn't believe me. He says, you can't fire me. I said, I'm the one who writes the checks. I signed the checks. You're not going to get a check from me. So he went back to the New York club. But it was just, he was a great banjo player, but it wasn't the kind of banjo player we needed for the club.
Who was that?
Huh?
Who was that?
Johnny was his first name. I can't think of his name. He's a blonde guy.
Ford.
Huh? Johnny Ford.
94. Yeah.
Ford.
Oh, Jesus.
He was.
Do you know how many guys?
TV on in the background. You got your TV on the background. It's hard for us to hear.
Yeah, somebody has some noise on in the background. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find
Oh,
out. too,
hold
but I
it.
can't.
Hold it. I got the news on.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
geez.
it.
Is that
Yeah,
better?
that's it.
Yep, that was it.
Well, I didn't want to miss the news.
I was giving you the news.
Yeah, I know. I'm turning it back on. No, John, you want to know what the worst job? You sent me to, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm listening. Unlike
Okay,
you.
the worst job you sent me to was the Kentucky State Fair.
Oh, jeez.
No. They had a local circus, a menagerie. And we followed the parade into the arena. I was wearing white sneakers because I wanted to look good. And I turned around to Jay Brackett, I said, Jay, watch where you're stepping. And as I said that, I put my white sneaker into the world's largest elephant dew you ever saw in your life. But I mean, almost up to the ankle. And I had to go through the whole gig with that. I always sounded like shit, but now I smelled like it. It was the worst. That, John, or that the car salesman gig in Flint, Michigan, where they were all men, 300 men, drunk. That was another highlight of my career. And I found pictures of lake compounds. Honest to God, I found pictures of the famous roller coaster.
I got a picture I found. Let's see if you guys, I don't know if you can see this.
What? I can't see it, John.
Hold it up higher,
Hold
John.
it up higher.
Higher.
Up, down a little.
Down a
Lower.
little bit.
There you go.
Okay,
That's
stop.
it. Hey.
Who the hell is that?
I see Joel.
Joel, Roger,
Yep.
I can't make out the other two.
I'm at
Oh,
one end.
God.
And Frank Wyzak is at the
That's
other.
Frank Wyatt. That's Frank Wyazek.
And I'm white. I'm the guy at the other end.
Yeah.
And that's Bob McKenzie in the middle, next to Joe. This goes back to about when we started the club.
So John, the job I remember is one time you sent us in upstate Connecticut to play for a conference of nuns. Do you remember that?
What?
You remember it, John?
No, I don't.
A nuns conference. I remember driving up.
Oh, that's good.
What kind of freaking gig is this going to be? The mustache playing for a conference of nuns.
I'm sorry.
So we get up there, and I'm thinking this is going to be a terrible experience. We get up there, there's like 400 nuns from this order. Their mother house was in Connecticut, so they came from all over the nation. 400 or 500 nuns, all in their habits. They had their awards dinner. Apparently, they'd been there a few days for their meetings. They had awards dinners, and we're going to do the entertainment afterward. And we did the standard stuff, mention my name in Sheboygan and all that. And then we started to the sing-alongs, and all those nuns sang Bye Bye Blackbird and Heart of My Heart. They sang really nice, 4-part harmony. It was great. And they were serving
Somebody-
wine and beer. The older nuns were drinking the beer. Okay? And they were drinking heavy. And this is how the story ended out. So we were playing the French medley. We started into I Love Paris. And we went into How You Gonna Keep Them Down on the Farm. The last song we went into the Can. And all of a sudden, about 50 nuns stood up arm in arm and started kicking their legs.
No.
Yeah,
The image of 50
I said,
nuns
I've seen
doing
it
a
all now.
can
I've
is
seen it.
obscene.
I'm so
That's
proud of you.
that I would like to see.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
That tells you
John,
how good you
look at
were.
the screen.
You
see
know what?
that?
When I hear these stories, why am I always thinking of Broadway Danny Rose?
Can you see that, John?
What was that?
Over a little
Broadway
bit.
Danny Rose.
You're right.
Ellen movie.
Woody Allen.
Where
Woody
the
Allen.
hell is the camera? Look at this, and I was in charge. Can you see that?
A little
No.
farther in front of your face.
Trying to find you.
In front of your face.
Put it
Oh,
in
it's a-
There we go.
You got it, John?
Oh, wow, that
Oh,
is
there it is.
a roller coaster.
That's it.
Roller coaster. It's a wooden roller coaster.
Wooden roller coaster, a monument to insanity.
We used to get on that, you get on there, and as it went up, it would shake from left to right, up and down. I always wondered how many nails it lost every time it went around. God,
Here,
that was-
John. Here I am at Lake Compounds.
Oh, God, you were
That
good.
was a gazillion years ago.
I don't
Look at
remember
that
you
hair.
so good looking. You
Was
sure
that beautiful?
You were that good looking? Jeez.
Hey, that was the uniform we used up there. We just wore the mustache T-shirts. I couldn't believe I found that.
I think my wife threw all mine out. After a while, she had gotten to hate the mustache.
I wore one
God.
3 weeks ago. It fit a little tight.
If I had one, I'd have to probably cut it off so my belly would be able to have room.
My record for the world's
I was gonna say,
worst job was the Jerry Lewis telethon. But somebody, I think the club manager, not you, John, send me up with a waiter to play washboard and a tuba player and a banjo player I had never met before, who were willing to do the Jerry Lewis telethon at 4 a.m. for no money, along with me. None of the guys could play. Absolutely none of them could play. So I did Carolina in the morning. Let's do Carolina in the morning, and we practiced it. When we got onto the bed, to cut it short, when we got onto the stage, we played it, and those guys just completely panicked. And the only thing that resembled Carolina in the morning was my melody. When I got back to the club, the next day, one of the waiters came up to me and said, "Hey, I was stayed up to see that. Did you hear what Jerry Lewis said?" And I said, "No, we were already going off." He said, "For Christ's sakes, Mel, this is national television." That was the review.
Oh,
Hey, John. Remember,
we not only made you stars, we ruined your reputations too.
John, I have a question for you. See if you remember this. When you were getting real busy with Harry Lip, you called me in New Orleans and said, "I need for you to go do a job for us." I said, "Okay, what do we have to do?" "You have to go to the Mississippi State Fair." I said, "Okay, what do I need?" "Oh, get a bag, a bunch of waiters, go over there. We need to perform in this big tent. It's like your father's mustache tent." I said, "Okay." I gather up a band, Neil Undersair and Jim Hazlip, and I can't remember who was on the tuba and the other banjo player. And Barry Kaiser went with me and Pete Gilbert. So we get over there, and the guy in charge of this is Mr. Love.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
Yeah,
here we are with Mr. Love at the Mississippi State Fair, which is pretty prominent, more of a black community, one of the most prejudiced people I've ever met. So he said, "Okay, do this, do that." So we set it all up, and it was quite an interesting experience dealing with him and how he was treating people and everything. And but we had a good time anyway, and we stayed overnight there and made quite a ruckus in the hotel with the drinking, and the band just kept on playing in their rooms and creating a lot of noise. So they come and ask us we could calm down a little bit.
yeah.
So we said, "Sure, we can calm down." But we asked a bunch of girls to come over because we thought it was an after hours party like we had at the club. Tell everybody to come back for after hours and get free beer. So this went on and on till the middle of the night. We finally got quiet, but I had to go collect money from Mr. Love. I walked back and into this long trailer. Here's Mr. Love. He's got stacks and stacks of cash. So he wants to pay us in cash. I said, "Okay." So he's counting out all the money and everything. But I felt like I was in some sort of movie somewhere. This is way back in the 50s in the Mississippi. It was quite an experience. And then he had all these beautiful looking black ladies working for us there, running around clapping hands and wearing the skimmer hats and selling stuff. But it's quite an experience dealing with Mr. Love. And I have a lot of pictures from that fair. I'll have to post them. It was strange. They had all the old time freak houses and everything, and pictures of all kinds of up on the walls of people doing weird stuff. But I don't know if Mississippi's changed any, but it was pretty.
Do you remember the reaction of the audience in Springtime for Hitler? We got the reaction all the time.
Hey, Roger.
Yeah.
Roger, that love you're talking about, was that Was his first name Gene Love out of Missouri? And he handled state fairs and stuff all over the country.
I don't know if he did things all over the country or not. But it could be.
He's the one who did the Cheyenne Frontier
Yeah,
Days.
yeah, Frontier Days. After the Denver club closed, 4 of us went up there and did a thing for him for 10 days, and we had a hell of a time getting paid by him afterwards.
Right.
He was just a big crook.
Yeah, he had on the bottom of every table and every chair, he had his name Love on it.
Yeah,
And he wasn't at the Cheyenne Frontier Days, was he?
yeah,
Yeah,
he was. That's where. Yeah, he was up there. He handled the concessions and the carny rides and stuff up there. But
Yeah.
we worked directly for him after the club in Denver closed.
Yeah, because I went to the Cheyenne Frontier Days. I don't remember him being there, but I remember I stopped in. Joe wanted me, he said, Roger, I want you to go around and check all the clubs out this summer. And by the way, I want you to stop and run Cheyenne Frontier Days. I said, oh, okay. So,
Yeah, that's where I first started in Denver in March of 1970, and then up at Frontier Days for a week in that old horse barn.
yeah, we had a big, I remember a bunch of waiters from Denver came up there in the band. And I was traveling around with my friend Suzanne at the time. And we spent, I guess, a week up. I can't remember how long we were up there, but it was quite an adventure.
The show band was there, Christine and Banu, and I think Bob Vanacek and a couple others, maybe Bob Adams, and a couple of different bands out of Denver. And I was up there as one of the waiters, a bunch of waiters that summer. And it was an old horse barn. They put sawdust to cover down to cover the horse shit, and then watered that down to keep it from getting too messy. And it was really dirty, but it was a blast.
Yeah, Cheyenne Frontier Days is quite an experience.
Yep.
When I booked that show, I met these cowboys, these 4 cowboys in Chicago. Every year there's this show in Chicago for these carnivals and stuff like that. And I don't know, they came by the booth and I just hooked them. And all these other people trying to hook them, and something about my winning face, I took them out to eat. I couldn't find a place to eat, so we went across to the Greyhound station, and we ate spaghetti in the Greyhound station. That's how great it was. I figured I'm never going to see these guys again. They gave me the gig. And then I show up, and there's the barn. And I said, what do I do? The guy who had the Schlitz dealership in Cheyenne, he was pissed that Schlitz was making him provide the beer for us. He didn't give us any, he gave us the beer in the can. So what we said is we need a truck to make it cold. So they gave us 2 horse troughs, fill it with ice. But I said, we're gonna go through that within the half hour, that's gonna be gone. So I called Schlitz back in Milwaukee, and they made it, they called me, give it a truck there and everything. And they said, fill it up. And so sure enough, he comes up, and it's only half full. I said, this is Friday night, opening night. I said, I need this to be full. He said, look, there's more beer here than I sell in 6 months, more Schlitz beer. I said, I'm telling you, we're going to sell it. Next morning comes, I call him. I said, I'm empty. I need more beer. Well, that guy lit up like he couldn't believe it, because I just made him the #1 Schlitz dealer in the Midwest, because he was selling beer. So the next 10 days, I tell him shit. He'd say, what color? And I'd have it. He used to come in every night. He'd come in, make sure had enough beer. Every morning, his son would come in to check that the temperature was right. But it was after it was all over, Schlitz Brewery told me that the Cheyenne Frontier Days, because we kept going, he said Cheyenne Frontier Days saved this guy's dealership, because his father started that dealership and it was going downhill. And he said, we finally beat it. And then the last 2 years that we were there, Schlitz wanted to get into the rodeo grounds, and they couldn't get in. And finally, the last 2 years, they let Schlitz in, and Schlitz made a fortune. They loved us in those days.
Everybody made a fortune, John, but us.
That was the game.
We were overpaid.
How else
Wait,
could I get
I
rich?
know.
How could I get
know.
rich if you made money?
wait a second. You booked the Schlitz Jazz Parade, the Circus Parade in Milwaukee before I was here. And we went out. You remember that?
No,
The
I
Schlitz,
all one
it was
after
the largest horse-drawn circus parade in the country. And it was run by Schlitz. And you booked us, you son of a bitch. And they had all these beautiful, we showed up about 5 p.m, and they told us we had to get up at 4 a.m. to stage the parade. And I see all these gorgeous antique wagons, beautiful, from the 1880s, just gorgeous. And then they bring ours up. You son of a bitch. John, we had beer kegs to sit on. Beer kegs, the metal ones with the little things on the top.
Right.
To no job, but I told the guys, I said, the band's not playing. Get chairs. We finally took off, and I know why the horses lift their tails. I found out. That was the worst. That was the most. It went on forever. We went all through Milwaukee and ended up at the lake. That was, and I don't know who you sent out in the band, but it was the best, John. You gave me the best band. I had Turl or Lipschitz. I had everybody. Jay Brackett was, oh God. Someone tell some stories about Jay, because no one would believe them.
But
No one would believe them.
The problem was this. In the New York club, I worked out of New York. So the New York club needed X number of musicians available to them all the time. I needed X number of musicians available part of the time. But the problem was, if I had a good run, I would need more musicians. So I used to have a black book. And in the black book, I had over 40 or 50 musicians that I could call on to play. So what I would do is I try to keep as many of them busy so they wouldn't go somewhere else. So I would book anything that would move. If someone said funeral, I would book it. And I'll give you an idea how bad it was. This guy Warner, he was the son of Warner Brothers, the guy there. I get a call from a woman. She says, I work for Mr. Warner. She says, he's opening an amusement park in New Jersey in 2 or 3 weeks. I'm told that you are the one to talk to about booking bands. I said, sure. I said, what band do you want? When do you want? She says, we want them for all summer. She says, but I need 5 a day. I said, you need 5 banjo bands a day? Oh, no. She says, I need the pop band. I need a country western band. I need all this. She says, now I'm working with these guys called the Red Guard or somebody. Dave Kay. Remember Dave Kay? He was trying to get the contract. But what he told her was, well, I have to see if I can round up the musicians. I told the woman, I said, what do you mean round up the musicians? I'll bring the contracts over to you right now. Where are you? And she said, I'll tell you it. So I brought the contracts. She didn't even ask me how much. I got there and I had written in $5,000 a band. I got $5,000 a band. And then I had 3 weeks to get together 5 different bands. And it got down to the point where I was calling musicians and telling them, got a friend who can dance or do something, just get them there. And I got them different kinds of outfits. Every week I'd get that money coming in. Every week I'd send it out. I don't know how it worked, but it worked. And that's what I had to keep doing that because these people wouldn't be getting paid. I had other people would other people would take them away from us and then they would go out in competition to me. So I had to book whatever I could, whenever I could. So I sent you guys on some shitty things, I know.
No. You always
you always got paid. You always got
got the best musicians, John. The best. In New York, you even got.
If I use you.
You even. First of all, I'm not a musician. Second of all, Gim, do you remember the tuba player who was hired? We were in a terrible state. We couldn't get him, and he came from the union, and he came in, didn't know us at all. I'd say he was about mid-40s, and he opens up this case, and instead of the sousaphones that had been formed with bricks, this guy had the most magnificent side valve. Is that what they call it?
I guess.
You know, not the buttons, the valves.
Rotary valves.
Rotary valves.
Rotary valve. And he said, oh, this is the horn I play at the Met. And I looked at him and I said, at the what? At the what? He said, when I'm not working at the Met, I work with the New York Symphony. I said, you don't know what you're getting into tonight. Everything is in the wrong key, at the wrong tempo. It's a horror show. Just sit back and oompa. And he looks at me like I grew something. He came up, he sat down. That was right after Steve Gagan left.
Yeah.
He sat down behind me, and he was wonderful. I mean, the guy was a musician, unbelievable. And what did they do? The people got excited and they threw peanuts at the tuba, you know, to see if they could get it in the bell. And this guy was going nuts. He was freaking out. And he said, if I get one more fucking peanut on this horn, I'm leaving. And a shower of peanuts came down. He packed up and left. He packed up and left. When you had to go, what was it, local 3?
802.
802.
Local 802.
The New York, when you got someone from the union, we were dead meat. We were absolute dead meat. And then sometimes we had brilliant musicians who scared me to death. I mean, when we got
802 was the mafia of the musicians union. I found out by accident. I got set up, went up to Ithaca, college in Ithaca, State University of New York. And we get there and we have the band, 5-piece band. And the local union guy comes over and he says, you have to have 5 more union guys, 5 more people here. And I said, no, I don't. I said, I play this all the time. He says, you don't go on. I'm going to shut you down.
Oh, yeah.
I said, give me the contract. I'll sign the contract. But I was a manager, I was a manager associated with 802. So I had some juice. So it just pissed me off. So I said, okay. I said, but you're not going to hear the end of this. So he just gave me this bullshit. He left. I had to pay another couple $100. I went back to the 802 the next day when we got in. I told him what happened. He says, what's his name? What's the telephone number? I gave him the contract. He picks up the phone. He calls them. He says, this is so-and-so from 802. You fucked with one of our people. You get him his money by tomorrow morning. Otherwise, you're going to get, you and your local are going to be frozen out of everything that we do this entire summer. The next morning, I had the money. And the guy says to me, he says, we're local 802. Don't you let anyone put you or push you around. He said, send out an 802 contract, and that's all you got to do. And after that, I never had another problem, except once in Chicago. We had a play in Chicago and had the Mustache Band, and it was in a hotel, and they sent a 15 or 20-piece orchestra, and they said, you got to have the orchestra. And I said, no, I don't. This is a Mustache. It's no good, no. He says, no, they're going to be here, and they're going to play, or you get paid. I said, I'll tell you what. We go on at 8 o'clock. I want your band, your orchestra here at 6 o'clock in their tuxedos. And I'm gonna rehearse from 6 to 8. And then we'll play from 8 to 12. And the guy says, all right. He said, but you're gonna have to pay extra. I said, money's no object. So he comes in, he has all these guys, and some of them didn't have their suits on. I said, hey, 6 o'clock, you're supposed to have your suits on. We're supposed to rehearse. So we get in, and I got a hall all the way at the end. And I said, all right, this is what I want you to do. I want you to warm up for a half hour and then call me. So they warm up for a half hour, come back. And I said, okay. And I give them a list of songs that we play. I said, I want you to play each of these songs 3 times. I want to make sure that it's okay. And he says, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go down the hall. Don't worry. Comes 8 o'clock, and now we're ready to go on. We got our 5 people. And so they're all ready, standing up to come on. I said, where are you going? He said, it's time for us to play. He said, yeah. I said, you're going to play here while they play there. And you keep the door shut. And the union guy come up to me, and I took out my union card, and I took out the union contract. I said, you take this, and you go to court with it. Or I'll call him now at home, and I'll have him rip you another asshole. The guy looked at me.
John.
Chicago. He said, this is Chicago. I said, I'm from New York.
Chicago.
The 802, it was like gold when you say 802.
802. We were all in 5, which was Cape Cod, because we didn't have to take any exam or read music or have any background. So was it Joel? Kim?
Yeah.
Was it Joel who set it up? With the union up at Cape Cod.
When we were on Cape Cod in '62, we all had to join the Cape Cod local because it was also cheap. I think it was $17 a year or something like that.
Yep.
And then we all carried those cards back to New York when we had them. And then we discovered that, remember, New York back then had the cabaret tax, and we had the cabaret regulations and all that nonsense too. And so it was a pretty tough town to work in, and we all decided that we had to go to 802 to keep the whole act working. So that's what we did.
God, I stayed in 5 until I retired.
Sure.
John kept sending me to all these places, but they couldn't read. So it didn't make any difference.
I'm a life member of 802. I finally reached my seniority status a few years back. I have a funny story.
Joe got us on to 155.
Jimmy Petrillo. That's it. Jimmy Petrillo was the president of 802.
The president of 802 at the time was Max Ahrens, and he was as crooked as could be. And I think that's probably the guy you dealt with, John. And Max was quite a character.
We're gonna start that.
But
character.
The way I had to join 802 because I was hired to play at the Rockefeller Center. The ice rink in the summertime. They turned it into a cabaret.
Yeah.
And I had to join 802 to get to be in the band down there. This was a little bit before we had to do it at the Mustache. But so I said, how the hell am I going to get there? I'm starting Friday and it's now Tuesday and I got to get there. How the hell am I going to do that? And Red Balaban, who was in the Mustache Band at the time,
Balaban and Cats.
had a connect. Well, that's a whole nother set of stories. You're talking about Jay Brackett stories. There's a whole series of Balaban stories too.
God.
But anyway, Red called Wild Bill Davison.
Yeah.
And I knew Bill because I'd worked with him a few times, and he knew me. And so I meet him at the 802 headquarters. I guess it's probably 10 o'clock in the morning, earlier than Bill had been up in years. And we walked into Max's office, and Bill vouches for me. And Max says, "Here, take this kid downstairs and sign him up." So that's how I got my 802 card.
God.
But
they were so crooked.
It was
that whole industry.
quite a morning. You're introduced to the mafia and all the people there and all the powers in 802.
Nunzio's knuckle room.
They're still pretty powerful. But the musicians union isn't what it once was because it doesn't have the control over the people. Particularly
reading Bob Mose, Robert Moses' biography. Anybody have any experience with him, working for him or the park stuff?
No, not Robert Mose. I know who he was, but I never met him or anything.
Never ran into that?
No, you talk about crooked. Joel was getting ready. He was planning to open a club in Chicago.
Yep.
And he didn't have a club. So he bought 2 old buildings side by side, one of which had been a famous house of ill repute during Prohibition. And everyone knew it. And he called me in, which was very unusual. And I went into the office. He said, "You're an architect." I said, "Not quite, Joel. I haven't graduated yet. But I can do drawings." He said, "I'd like you to help, if you feel you can, to design the Chicago Club." So I went out to Chicago and we stayed, was it the Allerton? The big hotel, anyway. We did the drawings. I had a structural engineer make sure that it wouldn't fall down. And then I said, "Joel, I've got to let it out to bid. I just can't hire someone." So he said, "I got someone." So the next day, the longest Cadillac with black windows shows up. And someone inside brings me out, and it's Gene Petracca. Joel found this contractor. Gene Petracca, who I later found out buried people in his projects. He rolled down the window, and he was wearing a teacup as a hat. The guy was microcephalic. And he said, "Okay, kid, whatever you want." I said, "Well, here are the drawings. I don't have a seal. I don't have a license. I can't stamp the drawings." "Don't worry, kid." He took the drawings and he left. No idea. The next day, I'm on the site, and without too much notice, this crew of masons comes on. Nobody speaks any English. They just got off the boat. I know they're not union. And I said, "We can't start working. I don't have the permits. I have to put the permits up." And they look at me, "Permits? Nothing." And I call Mr. Petracca, and he rolls up in this Cadillac. He rolls down the window, And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, all of the inspectors show up. The building inspector, the electrical inspector, the fire inspector. The window rolls down and out come the envelopes. And back comes the certificates. And I look, I know enough not to say anything because I could be part of the floor. I'll never forget this. I put up the permits. I nailed them. They took them down, the workers, and they went right to work. They had the drawings. And I said, Mr. Petraka, I don't know, but in New York, the unions, the masons, they're very tough and they can lay, I think, 1,200 bricks a day. That's how they count their time. And he said, don't worry, kid. The window goes up. 2.5 days later, does anyone remember the Chicago Club?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there. I opened up the
Okay.
Chicago Club.
You remember the vault when you entered? There was this barrel vault of bricks.
Yep.
I didn't even know how they did it because the scaffolding never showed up. And they laid in one day, that whole thing was done. It was the best work. None of them spoke any English. I did have the real permits. I should have taken them. But they did a beautiful job. They worked from the minute they got there until it got dark. There was no time, no numbers. They just worked.
That was an interesting experience in Chicago.
Well, it turned me into an architect. I learned
State Street, 829 State Street.
That's where the club was?
And I was in Denver at the time, and Joe calls me and said, Roger, I need you to come to Chicago. I said, well, I'm working in Denver with the Larmer Square people. The manager in Chicago just got hepatitis. He said, I need you to come out here. So I said, well, okay. I got my little MGB and drove to Chicago to help open the club. And I run into some of the several types of people that you run into down the big hallways and playing cash for chairs and tables and just all kinds of weird stuff. And then we were getting ready to open, and Bob McKenzie was there, and I was there, and Joel was there, and our attorney was hanging out there a lot. I said, well, this is interesting. The attorney hangs out here a lot. So pretty soon some people come up and wanted to talk to us. And I just was hanging out with them. Said, you guys take a walk with me. So Joe and I and our attorney, myself and Bob, we took a walk down the block. He said, I just want you guys to understand, we're part of the new regime here. We do things a little bit different. So when we ask for things to be done, we expect for them to be done. I go, that's interesting. What the hell is he talking about? But he went to put his foot right out there, let us know things have changed a little bit. And he was in charge now. I can't remember who he was, or if he's from the police department or whoever, the inspectors. But it was quite a show. We did get it open. And Ralph Peters and his crew came in, finalized, putting up all your father's mustache paraphernalia and the pictures and painting the walls red. Get the bandstand set up. We had a big grand opening. But that was a tough a gig doing your father's mustache in Chicago because the Red Garter was so deeply involved in that area there. There's no way we're ever going to compete with them there. I used to go with the Red Garter. I just knew some people there. That place was packed every night there, and really good bands, and we were still struggling trying to get our name out on the street, get things going. So I didn't think that was a great move to try to put the mustache in Chicago, but Joe had his imaginary ideas of what he's going to do about that. So
that's where I first met Joel in the 2.5-hour set.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jesus.
That was crazy. And I stayed there until in the fall. This was in the summer, I think we opened up. It got very, very cold. And I spent most of my time in New Orleans, then to Denver, then out to Chicago. I said, Joe, I don't like this wind coming off the lake here. It's very, very cold. I'm uncomfortable.
I was getting low on stock.
He said, what are you going to do? I says, I need to go back to New Orleans. So he said, okay, we'll arrange that for you. You go back down there and take over that club again. So I got out of there for that. But, I don't know how long the club stayed open there, but wasn't that long. I don't remember. But,
Gentlemen, I'm checking out. Next week?
Herb, it's nice seeing you.
Thank you. It's nice to be seen. I had heart surgery. See you all.
Listen to us. Next time we start at the upper right-hand corner and we go around and talk about our injuries. Get our medical histories.
Oh my God.
And the following week,
My wife just said no.
I don't think we have enough time for that.
and the following week, we all talk about bowel movements. I know.
Okay, I gotta go, guys.
See you next
Are
week.
we doing this next week? Are we doing this next week?
Sure. We gotta wait for the email from Tom.
Tell him no.
Okay.
Say no to
I'm
him.
on a break.
John,
Who's
I'm
paying-
gonna try
I got
and
you a
post.
question. Who's paying for Zoom? Well, how much does Zoom cost?
Joel's paying for it.
Yeah.
Who?
It's freebie.
It's free. I mean, nobody's got to.
John, don't say a word.
I just,
You heard it. It's free.
You're paying, John.
someone's taking
It's
care
free,
of all
John.
someone's taking care of coordinating. I just want to know.
Yeah, just send me a check. I'll divide it up. Don't worry about it.
I just
Okay, guys, I'm checking out.
I want to
Take
help
care,
out.
Ira.
I'll see you guys next week.
All right, Ira.
Okay, guy.
If someone's spending money, I want to help out. You know, I want to
Yeah,
chip
just
in.
send it to
John.
Roger Ramjet. He'll take care of
Okay.
it.
Can't believe it. You want to
Tom,
help
how
out,
much it
Murata?
cost you for the Zoom meeting, Tom?
I gotta hang up. Right
Go ahead.
now.
We
Well,
can't hear you.
Well,
You're muted,
You're
Tom.
muted.
You're muted, Tom.
Okay, what did you want?
What's it cost
Money.
for a Zoom meeting?
Oh, I'm spending, I think, $15 a month for the Zoom account.
That much? Holy shit. John, write him a
hey,
check.
Tom,
Write him a
send,
check,
send
Murata.
me a mailing address.
Oh, really?
You what? I mean, I don't care. It's fun. If we
Tom, you're
if we have a
making me,
free account, we're
this is
limited
better
to
than me
45
going
minutes.
to the movie. I'm not going to give you $100. Don't
Goes in the
bucks. I just
screen door guy.
okay.
I
Let
told
me
her
get
not to go
down.
outside. She wanted to blow her way outside. Had her head about halfway
I
out.
can't believe it. Murata, you're gonna write a check?
It's
Now I
fine.
gotta,
It's fine. It's working out okay.
thank you, Tom. I really appreciate this.
No problem.
John, I'm going to see my cardiologist Monday. I'll be fine.
Be careful. May the force be with you.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right.
So
See ya.
long, guys.
Please.
See you next week.
You bet.
See ya.
Take care.
So
DJ.
long, Jim. Nice seeing you, Jim.
You betcha.
Thanks, Tom.
No
Oh,
problem. See you next week.
Tommy, we'll
Bye,
talk to you
Billy.
later, Tom. Okay.
Bye, David. Bye, Dottie. Bye, Roger. Bye, John.
Hey, hey, you know what I want to tell
Bye-bye.
you guys
Hold on.
Hasta luego.
for you?
Where's Barry? I don't see. There he is. Okay.
See you, Johnny.
But
Take
I
care
have,
of yourself.
I have
Barry
some
wants to talk.
information for y'all.
Going now.
Steve Yoakum is very sick.
You know, I was wondering that today when because I've been sending it to him, but we haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, he was on about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but they found out he's got leukemia.
Oh,
And they did the first round of chemo and stuff just now. Tomorrow I'm going to be on a Zoom meeting. Me and Banu and Danny Rubio and all, we're doing a Zoom meeting with him. He's in Holland. So we're going to do a Zoom meeting with him tomorrow. So next week I'll have more information on him. He's got to do a second round of chemo coming up. It might be in a week or they might do it immediately. They got to see the results of this one. But he's not doing good, so say a prayer for him.
Yeah.
Where's he?
really? Thanks for the update, Barry.
What'd you say, Bill?
Where does Steve live? What
in
city?
He lives in
Netherlands.
Holland.
He's in the Netherlands?
Yeah.
Yeah, he married a Dutch girl. And he lives over there. But he was over here for a while. In fact, he was on this Zoom meeting 3-4 weeks ago. He looked fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Roger, you were on that meeting. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I keep in touch with him, through Facebook and stuff like that. And when he was in New Orleans, I was down there.
You guys froze. Nobody's there. Well, if you can hear me, I didn't do anything, so I don't know what happened. But I guess it's over.
So,
Oh, you're there.
Yeah, they don't get flooded. How about that? Has it been raining a lot in New Orleans?
the last few days we had some rain. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday it rained a whole lot. Yes,
We're
Someone
There's
was
three.
complaining about it flooding there again. I said, what the
Yeah.
hell?
Well, yeah, Metairie flooded bad. Yeah. Well, there's 3 tropical waves heading our way next week, so we're going to get a lot more rain.
Why can't they fix the drainage system there?
They are. They're working on it.
They are. I hear that. I've been here next.
It's a
They
bowl.
keep finding cars in it and everything. You remember that story about them finding a car and the drainage pipes and the whole car was in it. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, so
John, John, are you going to be on next week on this call, God willing?
God willing, and the creek don't rise, I'm going to be on.
The creek's rising, but
Because like I said, I'm going to be talking to Banu tomorrow. I'm going to invite her to come.
I sent her a letter. I sent her a letter with Tom with the copy of.
okay. Yeah, the link is the same every week now.
It is.
Oh, that's easy.
Good. So I'll try to catch. If you talk to her, tell her.
I am going to talk to her tomorrow. I'll mention it again.
Yeah, tell her. So I told her, a bunch of musicians who have a lot of fun just talking about old times. And I said, we just tell stories and tell lies. That's all we do. But she'd be great on this.
Oh, yeah. Sit back and listen to stories.
She would hold a lot of these musicians, really put their feet to the fire, because she knows a lot of stuff that I don't know. I was always the one in the back. I said, look, if I got paid and I didn't get fired, everything was okay. I tell you, Banu was the one that kept that show band together through all the years, because she had her and Buzzy were the core, and then when Buzzy left, she kept that concept going.
See, I worked with Banu a little bit, but when Banu left, I guess she went to Disneyland or Disney World. You had a girl named Barbara Rubin. You remember her?
Yeah, I do.
Redheaded girl.
She was no Banu. There was Banu. When I first met Banu was in Florida, and she was working at Joe the bartender's room, and she was like 18 years old or 19. She was young, and it was same. I was talking to her, and there was another girl, and Joe wanted me to decide who I wanted to bring up, what musicians should come up to the club, and Johnny Ford was down there, and he was the big. Everyone wanted to leave because of him. That was the big problem.
Well, that's what's his name was just Jeff was just talking about.
Yeah, he was the problem. But anyway, every day I stayed there, and the girls came, and each individual musician came and talked to me. Sam Palafian was just finishing school, and he asked me, he said, I'll finish school. He said, will you give me a place in New York? Because he wanted to go to school in New York. He did unbelievable things. He's unbelievable. He was a tremendous musician. Anyway, so I told him, yeah, I'd give him a position. And I brought Banu. I told Banu, I'll take you up. So I got her up, and she was there, and about shortly later, the other girl, Kathy, I think her name was, they didn't get along, but I saw that Banu was the better of. When she got on the stage, she just was the show person.
She lit everybody up. She was
Yeah,
great.
she really made the audience. The audience loved her, and
They still do.
yeah, I see that. I keep one. The next time, once I heal, I got 3 more weeks before I heal. I'm going to try to get down to Florida to see my brother, and because he's having lots of trouble now with his back and everything. I want to see him, and I figure it's going to be the last time we'll be together. And then on the way back, I want to stop in New Orleans to see. I got my wife's family there, and then I've got to go down to Grand Isle, where she's from. But I told Banu if I come down there, I want to stop by and see her, get together with her. So,
Where's your brother in Florida?
He's in Jupiter.
Jupiter, okay.
He just sold his, about a year ago, he sold his limousine business. Just before Uber came into the scene.
Yeah.
These two guys who own supermarkets in Michigan were on vacation, and they told him, we wanted to buy it from you. And they said, name your price. He named his price, and they let him come down to what his price really was, and he sold it. So he's retired now.
So when the mustache burned down in New Orleans, it wasn't 2 months after that, we put a band into Hula Hands. All right. And we were there 5 nights a week. We lasted for 3 years there. And it was myself, Maynard, the trombone player, Neil Tidwell, the tuba player, and Banu. That was the group. And we were there. And the best part about that job, they didn't want us on the weekends. They were too busy on the weekends. We played Sunday through Thursday night, Friday and Saturday off. So all the guys loved that because that's when the spot jobs came in, So, but we were there for over 3 years, right at Hula Hands. The problem with that was there was no seating.
Well, I was surprised when Buzzy died. That was out of the clear blue.
Yeah.
But his kids are all grown now. Banu's kids are all grown. Yeah, last time I saw Banu and Buzzy was when their kids were about, one of them was about 10 years old, and I don't know how old they are now.
Yeah, they're in their 30s now.
So that was last time I saw her. Okay, well, you guys are hanging on or not? But I want to ask you, Roger, when you out in Chicago, I was out in Chicago, and
All right, Billy. See you later.
across the
Bye,
street,
Dave.
Roger. That bar across the street, and that's where the Chicago, they were called the CTA at the time, Chicago Transit Authority. Mm-hmm. They used to play in that bar across the street. You go in that bar, and upstairs there was all around the top, there was tables around the top, and you could see down into the bar. Do you know the bar I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember the name of that.
Anyway, we had one crazy trombone player. He'd go over there on the break, and he'd go up, put his raincoat on, put his trombone under his raincoat. He'd go over there, go upstairs, and while the Chicago's playing, all of a sudden, he'd take out his trombone and start playing one of our songs. And this went on for about 2 or 3 weeks. So one time I ran into some of the guys from Chicago, just right after they got sued by Chicago Transit Authority and they had to change the name Chicago. I ran into a couple of the guys I knew on the road. And I said, does he still come in and play the jazz? He said, no, we fixed it. I said, how do you fix it? He says, one day we waited till he went back to work, and then we all went over there and we played our music over there.
Well, playback, I like that.
Okay, guys, I'm not going to hold
John,
you.
Yeah, I got a question for you before you go. This came up last week. I don't know if you heard it. Do you have a photo, or do you know if anyone has a photo of the exterior of Harry Lip office? So behind the mustache, there was a big sign with a mustache. Do you have a photo of that?
I can.
Photo
look.
of what?
It said your father's mustache. It didn't say hairy lip.
No, I think it said hairy lip.
No, because we had hairy lip in the course of me running hairy lip. We had 4 separate offices. We had that one behind the club.
That's the
Then-
one I remember.
Right. Then we had the one that was in the basement of Joel's building where he lived, the brownstone building. Then I moved out of there. He wanted to move out, and I moved into a storefront around the corner from there. And then I went into partners with this guy who represented country western people up on Fifth Avenue. So, but it was a big mustache was painted on it. Yeah.
Well, that's right. When I was there in 72 working for you, that little office in the back of the club,
Yeah.
fronting on 7th Avenue,
Yeah.
it had like a big, it looked like somebody designed this logo, a big mustache, and it had like circus letters, hairy lip. That's what I seem to remember. And I just wonder if somebody had, why don't you check your photos? See,
I'll check out all the photos. Yeah.
Roger, you have that, you think?
No, but my office was back in there also. That's where all
Okay.
of our offices were. We had those nice desks. I don't remember that sign out front with hairy lip on it. I was there in the 72, yeah.
Yeah.
That was, he's talking about the front glass, right? The glass on the front.
Might have
right?
been a glass or a sign. I can't remember. I mean, shit, I was 19 years old. You know, it was a long time ago. You know?
God, you guys make me feel old.
Oh,
Okay,
John, don't say that.
take care.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
See you next week.
All right, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Then, bye.
Take care of yourself, Johnny.